Hi guys, I'm Jim, and this is, you think you know what I'm going to say. I have got a lot of emails and comments and questions on how did you make your remote control for your 2-horse dust collector. Mine is 240 volt, and today this is Jim's Gadget Corner. I'm always building stuff at the shop or stuff around here to make things a little simpler with a remote. Now, the original part that you need, you can buy these I got this at Home Depot because typically they sell these year around. They don't just sell them at Christmas time. The other box stores and department stores just sell them at Christmas time. But these are like $9.99. If you go to like one of the other ones like Menards or Lowe's and it's after Christmas, you can get them for like $5 because they're getting rid of them. You'll need one of these. And we're going to build one of these. But instead of hooking it on a board where all your contacts and wires are exposed, we're going to do it a little fancier. And we're going to put it in a box with a cover on it. Make it look a little better, what the heck. Now on this one you've got 120 volt input that will run the coil. Then you have another input and an output that goes through the coil that'll actually turn your item off and on, whatever you want to plug into this. Now it'll typically be a 240 volt appliance, let's put it that way, because this in itself will run a 120 volt product, but only up to 10 amps. Now if you've got a dust collector that runs on 120 volts, say it's a 1 horse, that's going to pull 14 amps. That's too big for this. You're going to burn it up. So that's why you want to build this relay. This will hold up to, this particular one, I'm not really sure. This will go up to 15 amps. But your same 1 horse dust collector on 120 volt that pulls 14 amps, when you wire it 240 volt, it'll only pull 7 amps. So that's better for your motor, and this will easily run it. So how we're going to make this thing, you need a relay, you need a socket. These both come from a company called MSC. We use them at the shop for buying anything we need. I mean, they sell drill bits and taps and just anything you need in a shop. Their phone number is 1-800-645-7270. You can call this company up to 7 o'clock at night and you will have your items the next day in UPS. They are an awesome company to work with. The relay number to order this is 5404-5935, and it's $12 and some change, $12.50, I can't remember exact price. The socket number for this is 540-461-64. These were like $5, $5.50. Now you can, if you look at the bottom of this thing, they have tabs sticking out with holes in it. You can solder the wires on here and save $5, but when this burns out on you, and eventually it will quit, it's much easier just to unplug it and plug a new one in than to do all that soldering. Believe me, you're going to want to buy the socket. Now I'll put the numbers and the company name and all that in the description below on the video. You want to start out, I use number 12 wire because you are going to be running, I've got a 2-horse compressor. I have a 2-horse dust collector, and you could probably run up to a 3 or 4 horse depending on the amp load it's going to pull when it's running and the relay you buy. You can get all different kinds of relays. I've got them at the shop. They're a little bigger. They call these ice cube relays. This one's a little bit bigger, but I run these at the shop. I can turn off and on a 480 volt 3-phase machine with this relay, running to a switch like this. It's amazing what you can do with these relays. Now on this one that I built, I have a standard 120 volt plug on both ends to plug in your appliance. This one we're going to use a 240 volt. And there are so many different pin combinations that I can't buy a plug, a male and female plug to put onto this, because these are all 240 volt plugs. Now this one is, they're both up and down with one sideways. This one is, both of them are sideways with one up and down. And this one is, both of them are laying down. So what plug is on your appliance that you want to control with this? I don't know, so I'm going to leave these ends open. And I'm going to do this because when we get done building this, I'm going to give it away to one of you viewers that want to use it. Now to wire this thing, if you got really good eyes, which most of us, we need one of these. On the end of this thing is a schematic that tells you how to wire it, and it has numbers. Them numbers corresponds with some itty bitty tiny little numbers on this socket. That's where the wires go. Well, on this piece of paper I blew it up. It shows the 2 wires down here for the coil, and it shows the 6 contacts to hook up whatever you want to use it for. Now, 2 of the contacts in here are normally closed and 2 are normally open. You want to hook it to the normally open ones. Otherwise, the thing's going to run until you try to turn it on, which would actually turn it off. So I started out with this box. I got the wires in it. I got all the ground wires hooked together, and I put a wire nut on them. And when I use a wire nut, I always wrap tape around it, because if you get in a heavy vibration area, that nut can come off. So the first thing we want to hook up is 7 and 8. I can find them on here. That's down here on this side. That's what's going to turn on or control the little coil, and you can see the little coil in there. That's the little red thing in the center right under my finger. That's what actually, it's a magnet, and when you energize that coil, it pulls the contacts down and changes it from normally open to normally closed. So we want to hook them wires in 7 and 8. And the wires you hook to that is the one that's going to be going in with 120 volts. And that is these 2 here. It doesn't matter which one. Let me tip this thing down. It doesn't matter which wire, the black or white, you put in which one of these screws. Now I've turned this thing around and lost the end I want. This is 7 and 8. So we want to stick them wires in here. Now these have, you just strip the wire and stick it in the hole. And when you tighten a screw, I can do this here. You can see that little piece of metal moving down. That's what pinches the wire. You just stuff it in there and tighten them screws up. You want to make sure you get them tight, because when you're dealing with electricity, a loose connection will create enough heat to melt the insulation off these wires until it gets back far enough where a couple might be touching. That's going to give you a short. Now the next thing we want to do is on this diagram it shows this is, number is that 5, and we want to use 5 and 2. You can see that that switch, that's the contact flipping back and forth. It shows this to be open. And we want to use, can't read backwards, 6 and 4 on this side. So just take your black wire and we'll stick that in 5. Now that's the wires that are going straight through without any plugs on them. We'll take that black one and stick it in 5. And tighten that down. And we'll take the other black wire and stick that in 3. And you can put them straight across from each other. Now we want to use 6 and 4. Now here's 4. When you get these things, for some reason, they usually have the screws tightened up all the way, and you can't get the wires in there unless you back the screw up a little bit. And this other white wire we stick right across from it in number 6. And we are done wiring this thing. Take the relay, it'll only go in one way. Pop that in there. We'll leave that open for now. And seeing I don't know what you need for plugs, I'm going to put a meter on here to show you that this thing actually works once we get it hooked up. Clamp it on the... Now typically these wires will have a black wire and a white wire. And because we're using this for 240 volts, I put black electrical tape on the white wire. Because both of these are hot. We don't have a neutral. You'll have a ground. On this side, I've got a 120 volt test wire I made with some alligator clips. So we'll clip this on the 2 black wires and we can plug this in. Now this part of it should be energized once we push the button. Now the plug, now this is just a number 14 wire because all this wire is going to do is power that itty bitty little coil in there. You could use an old lamp cord, would be plenty big for this. This you plug into this, the receiver part of your remote control, and plug this into a power source. This is what you plug into a 120 volt outlet. Now we turn this meter on. You should be able to watch this thing come on and go off. And it should go up to about 120 volts. Mine fluctuates from 120 to 121 and a half. My line out here is a little hot. And you can shut it off. Now that's it. Simple to put together and to use. All you have to do is pick up the right pin combination for your dust collector or whatever you want to plug into this thing. Now, what I've said in previous videos, it's not good to turn something like a dust collector with a large motor like that on and off all the time. I come out here, I'll turn mine on and it'll run all day until I'm done working, because they'll spike when you turn them on. And that's what's hard on electric motors. Unplug this stuff. So, in an upcoming video, I'm going to try to come up with an idea on how to give this thing away. So, if you've got a big dust collector or anything that you want to turn off and on, watch for the video coming up. And as I said, down below in the description, I'll put the phone number for MSC and the 2 part numbers for this particular setup. And if you want one a little bigger for a bigger appliance, they'll help you out getting the right one. Now we're just going to take this and stuff it down in there and put this cute little cover on here. And when I picked this box up, I didn't notice that somebody swiped my nails that are supposed to go through here. So you can either cut these tabs off and just set it on a shelf like I have mine, or you can slide a couple nails in there and nail it to the side of a 2x4 and just let it hang there. I'll tell you what, before we give this away, I'll get 2 nails to put in here so it'll be all set for you. That's about it. So Jim's Gadget Corner has knocked down another one. If you look back in some of the videos, I have some that I have done on other things that I've built similar to this. I built one and gave away was a automatic garage door closer. That was one I rigged up with a relay, and when the garage door opener opened the door, and the door stayed open until the light kicked off. As soon as the light kicked off, that tripped the relay and it shut the door. We used to have some teenagers living here, and I'd come home from work, the garage door would be open. So we made a gadget and took care of that problem. So until next time, work safe, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.